Welcome back to Torah in 10. I'm Jody Burkell, and I'm so excited to be here with you again. What's the life-changing idea Rabbi Sacks of blessed memory teaches us this week? For each of us, God may have a task. Figuring out that task, hearing God's call, is what gives life meaning and purpose. One of the things that I have loved about Judaism is the sense of purpose that it instills in each one of us. We're talking today about having a mission, being called upon to do something. That's the significance of the opening word in this parsha, and that gives its name to the entire book, Vayikra. He called. Here we find God calling to Moses for the second time. First, at the burning bush, when Moses was called on by God and invited to undertake the job that would define his life, leading the people out of exile and slavery to the promised land. German sociologist Max Weber points out that the idea of a vocation or a calling is not a secular idea, but rather a religious concept or a task set out by God. Rabbi Sacks says that this idea began in the Hebrew Bible with the concept of a partnership between God and human beings. And this was a revolutionary idea, the notion that God communicates with human beings and left the world incomplete in order for us to partner with him and complete the world. Talk about a vote of self-esteem. We're reminded of this idea of mission when we wake up each morning. The first thing a Jew is to do is to say, Moda ani. Moda ani lefanecha melachai vikayam shechecha zarta binishmatim bechem leraba emunatecha. That last part means, great is your faithfulness in me. God has faith in me and in you too. If God has faith in me and he woke me up this morning, because not everyone woke up this morning, means that there's a purpose, a task that I have to accomplish. Bottom line, God needs me. I matter. Of course, we all matter. And if we believe, which I do, in the idea of hashgacha pratis, which is divine providence, each of us is different, and therefore we have a unique set of talents and skills to bring to the world. We're here because we're meant to be, and because there is a task only we can fulfill. There are no two people, places, times, and situations that are the same. There are no accidents and a purpose to absolutely everything. Our job is to figure it out. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, has inspired millions. It's one of my favorites. He was a psychotherapist who survived Auschwitz. And while in the camps, he dedicated his life to giving people the will to live. How did he do this? By getting them to see that their lives were not finished yet, that they still had things that needed to be done, and therefore had a reason to survive. Frankl believed that this call or task to perform came from the outside. He used to say that the right question to ask was not, what do I want from life? But rather, what does life want from me? This is such a powerful question. And I want us to think about the difference between a gift and a vocation or a calling. The difference between what we're good at and what we're called on to do. We may be good at many things, but what gives life direction and meaning is a sense of mission, something we're called on to do. How do we discover our mission, our purpose? Well, there's our national mission and then our individual mission. Our national mission was given to us at Mount Sinai. We are called upon to be a light unto the nations, to be God's emissaries on earth. and make the world a home for the divine presence. How do we do this? By making the world a place of justice, of compassion, of human dignity, and the sanctity of life. What about our personal mission? The late Michael Novak said that a calling has 4 characteristics. Number 1, it's unique to you. Number 2, you have a talent for it. Number 3, it's something which when you do it, it gives you this sense of enjoyment and renewed energy. And number 4, he says, don't expect it to reveal itself immediately. You may have to follow many paths to find your true one. For example, I'm a good dancer. I actually made a living, started and ran my own dance company for 25 years. I was good at it, but it wasn't my calling. I remember when I shared and I taught my first Torah class, and my mom asked me, how was it? I remember saying to her, I felt like I was breathing, like I was more alive than I had ever been in my life. What's interesting about the name of this book and the name of this parsha, Vayikra, is that it begins with a call, because it's a book about sacrifices, and a calling, says Rabbi Sacks, involves sacrifice. Rabbi Sacks says we're willing to make sacrifices when we sense that there's a specific role or task that we are called on to do. When I first started sharing Torah, a friend said to me, oh, you want to be a public speaker? I remember saying to her, no, I don't desire to be a public speaker. I get so nervous every single time without fail before I teach or speak in front of people. I would rather not stand up in front of anyone, and there's a part of me that wants to move aside and have someone else do it. But from the beginning, this has never been about me. If God has given me an ability to do something, and there's something that needs to be shared, because Torah and all its wisdom is for everyone, which is why I have been so compelled to share what I've learned. Then I have to get over myself, literally push myself aside and do what's needed to be done. That's really how I feel. Now, you have to know, I absolutely love to share Torah. I feel like I'm flying, but to get there, you have no idea. This doesn't come so easy to me and so naturally to me. I have to continually work on it. Rabbi Sacks says, not all of us discover this type of calling, and that in no way makes our lives any less good, less valuable, or beloved by God. There are lives that are lived day by day rather than towards an overarching purpose. The Talmud says this of the great sage Rabbi Hillel. It's no accident that we're here in this time and place with these gifts and capabilities and this opportunity to make a positive difference in the world. Each of us has a task, work to perform, a kindness to show, a gift to give, love to share, loneliness to ease, pain to heal, or broken lives to help improve. We don't have to wait to be called on to do any of these things. They are no less valuable in the eyes of God and fulfill our purpose of making this world a better place. Figuring out that task, hearing God's call, gives life meaning and purpose. Rabbi Sacks teaches us where what we want to do meets what needs to be done, that is where God wants us to be. And that is a life-changing idea we can all use. Thank you so much.